Hi, this is continuation of my Godeena Codex books. This is book two, KIR'S FURY, and this book can expands the universe story. You know, sometimes happen on Godeena planet, but this is all universe is the interest in this book. There is interstellar confederation and you can follow the continuation with the any Bronco teams and what will happens and some story what happens with characters in this book is action, military action. You can expect space battles, some hiding and spies, and some fantasy, pinch of the fantasy with some characters and battle. Military is the main thing in this book. So I read first chapter from this book. So if you maybe like first book, you maybe like the second, and you can see how my writing do. The Omega Quadrant, a year after the events on planet Godeena. Captain Alaris' down-shamefaced twitched. It was the streak with shallow acnes scarce from his youth. Further ascension his pallor. A year after the end of the war with Anskar's fleet command had given him and his pride a less demanding duty to guard the frontiers. From the command bridge of the frigate Baratus, he watched the endless ocean of asteroids anchored on the edge of the known universe in the Omega Quadrant. Although there had been notable even in the area for a long time, a help signal had arrived from the mining ship Stardust 10 hours ago. The call for help had come from where they patrolled, but after an extensive search, they still hadn't located the ship. Alaris drummed his finger on the arm of the command chair and waited for the report of the fifth scan. He had little hopes that they would find the survivors. The area had been under constant military surveillance for the past 100 years, but their presence wasn't enough to deter adventurers and miners from trying their luck in the unexplored part of the universe. Over the past years, three spaceships had disappeared into the endless ocean of meteors. The whistled voice of NCO Andrea interrupted his attack. Captain, I have a signal. The ship is located 2 miles inside the meteor expanse. Alaris raised his teachy black eyebrows and stared at the screen. Strangely, the mine ship was miles from where they sent the call for help. He straightened up against the back of the letter tray and said, "Open the communication channel," and attempt to make contact. Right away, sir. Andrea ran her finger over the panel and activated the primary communication system. This is the Interstellar Confederation frigate Baratus. We receive your distress signal. Can you hear us? Over. The silence of anticipation disturbed the static interface, but there was no response. Alaris rose from the chair and focused on the large oval screen that recreated an image of the stardust. The spaceship had floated not far from a giant meteor, and there was no indication of life. While he watched the screen, he the particular time no guidance was granted. This cursed place has taken a toll on human lives again. Alaris took a brief look at the sullen, bare face on his deputy inside. It was the truth. After a short pause, he responded, I am aware of that, Lieutenant. This place has become a graveyard for anyone who tries to cross the border. No interstellar confederation scientists can explain why our homes ceased to exist in this quadrant. An anomaly like this has not been found anywhere else in the known universe. At Academy, we learn everything about Soberhofer theory, and this contraction of Warholm shouldn't be possible. Alaris did not respond to his comment. Before he took command of the sector, he studied these historical data. When the Confederation discovered the area, they sent a research expedition with military escort to realize the potential of the asteroid-rich expanse. After 2 days, the Federation lost contact with the small fleet. Besides the expedition involved, the military they sent superior force of 5 powerful warships. They want to find out what had gone wrong, but the second fleet suffered the same fate as the first, and it disappeared. The second lost the ships, and soldiers forced the Solar Confederation to put entire Omega Quadrant asteroid belt under total quarantine. Despite strict bans, people want to mine ore in the area, but few return alive. The race survivors say that the Meteor was full of strange anomalies in which ship with the entire crew disappear without a trace. Try again, send a call of all frequency. If they don't answer, scan the surrounding area. Someone attacked this ship, and I want to ensure they aren't hiding near Stardust. Andre execute his order, sent another call and scanned the area. As before, we have only nominal data, Captain. There are no signal of life on the minor ship and no one near the Stardust. Alaris tapped on his thin lips with a finger. Altos Latin Euros, he commanded. Lanos, steer the ship close to the Stardust. We need to find out what happened to those miners. Laron reclined the pilot seat, held to joystick firmly and watched the pilot screen. Not a muscle move on his skinny stiff face when he asked, Where do you want to direct the ship, Commander? Alaris stared at the screen. We talk about possibility to approach the spacecraft safely, maneuvering to see if there is any damage to the ship hull. The closer we got to the mining ship, the better we can see the damage. On your command, sir. Lawrence squeezed the sticks, pushed them forward and steered the freighter toward the mining ship. As they flew toward the Stardust, Alaris watching the image on the screen intently. There appeared to be no visible damage to the ship hulls. A dozen small meteor pieces floated around the spacecraft, but those immense couldn't have damaged Stitchy. Oh, what happened here in the first place? Why is the transporter stuck in this bed? He thought. The engine and hull were not damaged, but the ship seems dead. There were no signal light, and Alaris felt a slight discomfort in his stomach. He focused on massive meteoropods at the mine ship and asked his pilot, Laron, what is the distance between the Stardust and that big meteor? Laron flickered his finger over the control console and now said, 2.1 clicks, sir. Alaris stared again over the surface of the dark matter, wondering what the hell were they looking for here. The first man stripped this area a long time ago. After a brief pause, he said, They had the ship to the opposite side to see the rest of the hull. Yes, sir. London maneuvered the cruiser between the metal and the mining ship. A minute later, all the cameras focused on the Stardust hull, and Alaris' eyes widened. What the hell happened here? A dozen trolls holes gap along the entire side of the ship. The sharp edge of the opening were jagged like sharp teeth. It looked as if some animal had bitten the framework. The bright glare of the sidelight illuminated the ship's dark, frozen living space, but crew bodies were nowhere to be seen. The hair on Larry's neck bristled. Laron, get us out of here, something is wrong. He never finished the sentence, then terrified, shocked from the force of the sudden impact. Alaris and the several crew members fell on the floor. He hit his head on the plastic floor. The panicked voice of NCA Andrea broke the shocked silence of the command bridge. Captain, will have reading of the dozen of shield penetration all over the starboard side of the ship. Alive, Alaris tried to compose himself, stood up and wiped his wet apron. There was a trace of blood on his finger. For a moment he stared in disbelief at the red liquid. But he recovered quickly from the shock and shouted, "Activate the first degree's red alert." He walked over and around, shaking legs, and stared at the screen. "Activate the camera on the starboard side." Her fingers trembled as she did with practiced movement. On the big screen, they saw a dozen large flexible pipes attached to the ship hull. A dozen more tubes from the giant meteor opposite the freighter rushed toward them, and Mandarin like white snakes. Alari's commanding voice rang out like wipe through the air. "Activate the side torpedoes. We have destroyed these pipes." And Andrea didn't react. He shook her shoulder. "Now, Andrea." She pulled herself together, activated the torpedo, and the captain shouted, "Fire at will." The first torpedo hit the nearest tube, and dozens of humanoid creatures dressed in closed spacesuits flew into space as they detached from the ship hulls. Alaris ran to armor it at the rear wall of the command bridge. "Keep shooting, Andrea. Everyone has taken the weapons." But before he had reached the stored rifles in the cabinets, another powerful blow rocked the frigate. Alaris again lost his balance and fell to his knees. In that moment, the creaking noise from the ship hull caught his attention. The twisted metal whimpered, and circular blue blades broke through the metal teach frigate plating. The shock in his eyes scaled into panic. The blades cut through the metal and carbon fiber like the hull was made of the paper. A glow of bluish light hit the crumpled frame, and part of the plating exploded and flowed toward the opposite end of the command bridge. The teach wreckage broke all in the path. It hit one of his crew and crushed him against the wall like a fly. Alarm stared at his officer's squished and bloody remains and quickly ran toward the weapon closet. He pulled one rifle out and activated plasma charge. The first assailant jumped out the hole and opened fire before he could aim the serrated hole in the ship hull. The attacker used a shiny horseshoe-shaped weapon with bright energy arcs connected at the two edges. In shock, Alaris watched as a sparkling ball in the center of the Luxar's floor toward him like blue lightning. His whole body screamed in pain as it hit his chest. The rest of the attackers jumped out of the tubes and gruesomely disabled his entire crew. In less than 10 minutes it was over. The enemy that shot him approached Alaris and watched him through the sight of his weapon. He wore a smooth stone helmet carved from a dark marble with a glass visor. The alien spacesuit had a jigsaw puzzle of irregular stone slabs. With 3 fingers of his right hand, the attacker touched his left arm, and the smooth plate flashed a bright green glow. The helmet vision disintegrated as he typed, and Alaris saw the pink face without eyes, mouth, or nose. Alaris were the enemy task. Miserable earthling. For the first and last time you have seen the face of Alterum. You thought you could come unnoticed in the Alterum Empire for years and steal our resources. Unfortunately for your civilization, you have attracted our attention. We have gathered information from several of your captured and mining vessels and warship. You will suffer for reaching the consequence. Alaris chattered a gust of electric sun through his body like a storm, and he spoke with painful spasm. We will just guard the board. That is very wrong, child of Earth. Our border is to be where we say it is, not where you have set it. His face rippled changed. like the sea surface and become human. Captain Larry's eyes widened. It was as if he looked in the mirror. The Alterum's face was identical to his. The alien smiled, lifted the edge of his right lip, and spoke in Alaria's voice. There is one little thing left. He rested his three fingers on Alaria's forehead. Let me just take your memory. After he detached his finger from Alari's forehead, the alien separated one platen on the tide of his piece suit. Inside were three small ampoules of this sparkling liquid. He took out ampoules and looked at it with an elated expression. You surely have asked yourself what is it? What this is? He raised his oval pistol and set the ampoule into the slot and aimed in Alaris. This is a wonderful electronic creature that will eat your body. He pulled the trigger. Alaris screamed, soon subsided. A pile of black dust settled where he had lain. And that is everything that I read. Now, if you like story, be happy if you buy my book. And in the next video, I read from my third book what I'm writing now. So you can check what I'm writing now. And bye.